Hello, everyone. So, the final episode of Miss Marvel on Disney Plus just aired. This series was 6 episodes long, and of course, it was settling up Kamala Khan. She has been very much pushed forward in all of Marvel comics, the movies, video games, comic books, and of course, now TV series for the last few years. So, I was very excited to see what this show was going to offer. I was definitely a little nervous first hearing and seeing images of what they were going to do with this character. But of course, all 6 episodes are up now, like I said, on Disney Plus, each about 45-ish minutes long. So yeah, this is gonna be my review for all of season one. I'm gonna keep it spoiler free, of course. So you're not gonna worry about anything being spoiled. So yes, that's feel free to keep watching. So yeah, without further ado, let me get into it. So now that everything's wrapped up, this show was actually able to do and introduce a lot into the MCU that I found. I was a little nervous after seeing things like Thor, where that did nothing to push the MCU forward, in my opinion. This actually does in a few ways that made me very, very excited. But of course, setting up Kamala Khan's origin is no easy feat, especially when they change it as much as they did from the comic books. When it comes to the comics, she was Inhuman. In this case, they set it up in a few different ways, but actually reveal her origin in the final episode, or I should say the final minutes of the final episode. And the way that they did that, I thought was it's very grand scale in a way that I thought should have been a little more grand scale than what it was. But it's something that got me very, very excited. There's a little piece of music that they play that just like kind of confirms everything, and it got me absolutely hyped to see the future of course, Kamala with this new origin that she has, and of course, to what they tease as something absolutely massive for all of the MCU. So, if you're gonna watch this show, that's definitely one reason to get into it. It's just how they explain it, and again, just kind of push this new storyline forward for the rest of the MCU. When it comes to the show as a whole, they set up the red daggers. I mean, they introduce more gods into the fray when it comes to, again, just setting up, again, the grand scale of Marvel. And there's a lot that I really, really liked how they did it. But I found that when it came to the pacing and also to some of the CGI fight scenes, things like that, it was a little bit wonky and felt unfinished in a lot of ways. I didn't really like the CGI on I should say Kamala's powers and a lot of the powered beings in this. I just found that it what didn't look polished, especially in the first episode. The first episode had the worst of the bunch, and then it slowly got better and better and better. Episode 4 has a absolutely amazing fight sequence that I really, really enjoyed when it introduces the red daggers. But oh my goodness, there was a lots of things that again just felt really unpolished with the show in terms of mostly the CGI, but then sometimes the pacing. And when it comes to kind of the final climactic showdown with damage control, I just felt like it was such a goofy sequence that was again really home alone that just I didn't find fits in the MCU or even this show. It just again feels so goofy for a MCU or just kind of the Marvel scheme of things, where a lot of the times this can feel like a family channel show, and it just wasn't really doing a whole lot for me to keep me interested in the characters and the overarching story, things like that. But when it actually got into it and it was showing off Pakistani culture and getting into the lore of their mythology, and again, to just bringing all of those cultural elements into the show and letting them shine, I found was when this show was at its best. It does a lot to, again, bring out the history, the culture, and also to just the mythos of Pakistani culture. And it was something absolutely beautiful that they showcased in a lot of great ways. The show has really great use of music too, in a lot of ways that just felt so again empowering, and the representation is absolutely amazing to see, and again just like I said, powerful for the characters in the show, let alone the millions of people watching who are going to be represented by this. So there's again just great use of representation in the show that made me very, very happy to see, and is used in a lot of great ways. I will say there's one song use in that kind of final showdown with damage control that I just found, again, that whole sequence was just really goofy to me, and I wish that it would have been something completely different. But it wasn't the worst thing when you're kind of breaking down the cons of what this show did. Yeah, truly, I had a lot of fun watching this, and also too, just seeing Kamala go through the journey of discovering her origin, her powers, how to use them the correct way, and of course, to just balance the nature of family life and expectations with, again, the expectations and responsibility that comes with having a power, and seeing that shift in her family as well was really good commentary. I found too. There's, again, just a lot that this show represented that was really, really good, but I found when it got into the powered parts, again, the superhero parts of Kamala Khan, was when the show was at its most sloppy, and I didn't find it was a great introduction to Miss Marvel, but it was a great introduction to Kamala Khan for the future of the MCU. Of course, there is a bit of a setup for her role in the Marvels, which is going to be coming out next year. So, again, I'm not going to say too much, but it comes in the form of an after credit scene to this. So definitely stick around after the end credit. It's a mid credit scene, so stick around after the end credits, and so you'll be able to get a glimpse of that. But yeah, like I said, there's just a bunch of things that felt really sloppy with this show, but I still had fun with it. I really like the introduction of Kamala Khan in this, and I feel like she can grow to be an absolutely awesome superhero within the MCU. They just need to, again, kind of flush the CGI on her powers and experiment with it a little bit more too. There's some things that they left a little bit unexplained when it comes to her powers that I'm so certain they're going to be explaining in the Marvels. And yeah, there's one in episode 4 too that was just absolutely awesome to see, and it was a theory that I had in my mind that was confirmed to be true, so I was very, very happy about that. But they didn't really explore it any further than just the tease. And yeah, like I said, it teases a lot of things that were actually pretty big for the grand scale of the MCU. So I'm excited to see what they're able to do with this material down the line. But with everything taken together, I'm gonna have to give Miss Marvel 7 out of 10. I still recommend it to anyone who's a fan of the MCU to give this one a go, check it out, because again, there is a lot of really cool things that it does with it. It just feels a little sluggish, slow, and kind of just like it could have been better in a lot of ways. So it's nothing bad at all, but sometimes feels a little rough or just completely different from what I think a lot of people would have wanted from a Miss Marvel show to show her origin. There's just a lot of things that the comics have done that were a lot more interesting. That, again, I try not to let that overshadow what I think about these Marvel projects, but it's a little tough too sometimes when it's just that much superior in terms of its storytelling and just pushing, again, just the scale of the MCU or just these characters further. But if you've seen Miss Marvel, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. And of course, if you like this review, give it a thumbs up, and you can check out everything I do on my channel. I'll link some playlists up here for convenience sake. Thank you for subscribing and turning the little ringer on so you know when I upload new videos. If you want to check out everything I do live streaming Twitch-wise, link to that's in the description of this video, and of course my channel bio. And on both those places, you'll find a link to the Media Mountain, which is my Discord where we talk about movies, video games, comic books, TV, pretty much everything that's awesome in this world. So you definitely join that amazing community. Help make it even more amazing than it is already. And yeah, just awesome, guys.
Sky blue eyes, I see a world behind them. No more time sinking into the silence.